occasion. For this day's sake, let us be an occasion. Let us make a feast of every least mere moment, as though our diligent elation could raise the dead, as though all our dear, sweet memories were mingled in the wine, a rich bouquet of memories. Then let us drink deeply of them. But let's refine our feast of memories with moments yet to live. Above all, we should eat and drink as though this night would never end, as though for these few fragile hours we think ourselves immortal, as though on it we could depend. Do you feel a tender presence in the air? Our feast is its sacrament, our laughter its prayer. On occasion. That was a sonnet, if you're interested in formal verse, actually a rhyming sonnet, becoming a rarer and rarer beast among poets. But in the past couple of years, since the publication of The Wages of Love, I've been writing more and more free verse, still write formal poems, but a lot of the subjects that I've been tackling really need a freer hand with them. So I'd like to share with you now a love poem of a sort. Actually, it's really a lover's quarrel that this poem describes. It's called The Speed of Light. Across the irksome room, in a lover's blooming fury, she flashes her fiery eyes at you. And in the instant, you intuit that this bright, soul-searching burst from deep within her eyes is moving at the speed of light. 186,000 miles per second, the same speed starlight moves at. And you recall that light from distant stars departed long ago, years ago, traveling near 6 trillion miles each year, and having journeyed over light years, arrives for you to see on Earth, through which you peer into the starry past. And in this moment's musing, you realize the star-like flashing from her eyes must have left a brief but measurable time ago. Time past. Well, your past. A boorish past, perhaps. And yet your eyes and brain synapses are likewise working at the speed of light, are in the instant's passing time, delaying further nonetheless your comprehension of the ire her eyes are firing to convey, or have in fact conveyed, are pushing further in the past the whole damned flashing moment. Which begs the cosmic question whether you should even bother with responding to what, even now, is rapidly receding in the past. Your past, her past, every past, but increasingly the distant past. And after all, what does it mean to live within the moment? Which moment? And even though all this is happening at the speed of light, you have time to note that the delay in your response to the not quite yet forgotten flashing of her eyes is registering on her lovely face as smoldering exasperation. And yet, because you newly comprehend that time may not exist outside the mind, because you grasp that everything, but most especially she, is made of star stuff, you feel yourself falling like a comet, madly, brilliantly in love with her again, wanting her forever at the speed of light. Well, we seem to have lost the microphone here. Anybody have any difficulty hearing? No. I didn't think, I wouldn't worry about it. No, we'll be fine. Next, I'd like to share with you something entirely different. This is a poem whose subject was taken from a news report. Actually, I can, the quote attendant with the news report was, "Oh God, I swear she is my mother." That's a quote from Abed Bardini. And this is from Deir al-Bala, the Gaza Strip, from the Associated Press. The poem is titled Samira Bardini. Does history mean? Oh, tell me, this will mean. This place, Deir al-Bala, means monastery of the date palm. It has always been a green and fertile place, its fruit renowned as sweet and tender. And you can always smell the sea in this ancient but familiar town. It is a cooling walk away. They say St. George's tomb is here in the mosque, though no one knows what happened to the dragon's corpse. Is history knowledge or belief? The fruit of triumph or of grief? Long ago, the new kingdom of Egypt fortified this place as a strategic outpost. They called the square-shaped citadel Darom. Saladin himself took it from the Crusaders. Richard the Lion-Hearted took it back. There was Rome, the Turks, the Brits, and now, meaning the present, not yet past, now a kind of meaning that may not last. Now I sit here in the wailing ambulance as we lurch through the cratered street to one more blast site, one more ghastly scene. The smoking wreckage of a mangled car, two men's scorched remains inside. No doubt the targets. There are always targets. And stretched out neatly on the sidewalk, a bystander enshrouded in a bloody sheet. The smell of blood, burnt flesh, is still peculiar, though history has become all too familiar. We hoist them onto stretchers, load them swiftly, but with care. We are good at what we do. I sit beside the shrouded bystander, the bundle small, a boy or woman. We wheel the stretchers through the blinding sunlight of the courtyard into the quiet of the hospital, standing by inside as the observant nurse draws back the blood-stained shroud to check for signs of life. And, oh God, I see it is my mother, dead, my mother who gave me life, my mother whom I cannot bid farewell, Samira, dead. History has vanquished me. Like a child inconsolable, I weep. Oh God, you are too deep. In the parking lot, my fellow medics join me in saying the funeral prayer over mother's body, and we bear her to the ambulance for burial. Is there more to say? She is dead. Oh God, there is no more to be said. Samira Bardini. Just a note, you may have noticed that in this poem there were occasional rhyming couplets. I do that. I do that with the narrative or story poems I tell. And I do it for a number of reasons. First time I ever encountered that was in the great T.S. Eliot poem, The Love Song of J.F. Prufrock. You remember the lines, in the rooms the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. I remember reading that as a freshman student and just being knocked over by those two lines. You'll see there will be other rhyming couplets here and there. Here's another, well, it's an elegy, another poem on the matter of death and dying. This is part of a large group of poems I've written about my brother, Bob Williams. Isn't that nice? Robert F. Williams, who died untimely. It's called Elegy for Bob. No one could laugh so dangerously. His laughter was raw thought, unchained, disruptive, wild, an act of fearless generosity, a gift that stopped the room. He was a warrior for hilarity, a ribald force of nature. No man laughed better. His laughter that is dead. He was not kindly. Capable of kindness, ornate and startling, he could terrify beyond the edge of tears. His love was ceremonious, and his heart an altar at which many pilgrims knelt. But his agnostic love made little sense to them, or only made its sense to him. Compassionate by nature, he was cruelly candid when looking at life's mirror of broken hearts, life littered with his shattered loves. The many who sought loving him and lost. Of men, he was the one I loved the most. His heart that's dead. His mind was swift and sudden, flashing like sunlight on a polished blade. It could be funny, could be elegant, like a razor drawn across a bully's throat. Brilliance become dangerous, even as it cut, even as it hurt. His mind that's dead. Alone and alone and alone. Alone, if not quite lonely, young as he was to die alone. Sick as he was, brave as he was, alone in death, as are we all. But in life, his bitter choice to be alone, his vaunted freedom, his independence, were cliches of fierceness. His freedom that is dead. His natural goodness was cloaked in proud strength. It never touched itself. It never touched himself. His goodness that is dead. Did he see how hard it was to love him? Did he see how sick he was, how broke, how utterly bereft? His pride would not permit it. When his heart was blotted by that fateful clot, there was nothing sentimental in the room, that dying room. The kindness he declined could have been yours, could have been mine, could not have been his. Bob, who is dead, oh woe. Okay. Here is another sort of family poem. This is a little sonnet. This is written about our granddaughter. This was very early in her life. She's now just 3. She had her real first Halloween this year. You should have seen, she was a dragon. She had spikes on her tail and big teeth. It was great. But this recounts a moment much earlier. It's called She Rolls Over. It's a sonnet. Squirmy on her baby back, now curled, now splayed, she learns the morning's languid light, and from the floor considers the indifferent world. 4 months in her making, the light is right, but suddenly the world is not enough. It must be changed. Shifting to her side, she heaves her hips and with a grunting chuff, torques her shoulders, but fails, falls back, denied. Spent, sprawled, defeated on her back, she groans, covering her face with her tiny hands. Things stop. Then, deep within her blood and bones, where history is born, everything expands. Great heave, great grunt, and on her belly she comes through, taking in a world made hers, made new. She rolls over. Name's Nora. It's a Jewish name. It means light. Isn't that lovely? Ah, the naming of babies. Several of the poems I'm reading to you tonight are parts of series. This is a part of a series of poems with the broad title, America, My Love. They're love poems to our country. This is the first of the series. I may read to you another one if we have time. I'll keep track for you. This is called America, My Love. America, my love, I've read your poem, and in my heart was moved by it. Your poem of, by, and for the people, who yearn to see you good and holy. My mother, father, brothers, sisters, all, we are of you. We are your people, and with humility for them and all, let me declare this is my poem to you. America, my love, I dream of you each night, naked, always naked in the light. I would sprawl between your oceans, Atlantic and Pacific, and oh, the Gulf of Mexico. I would feel your tidal ebb and surge, would taste their deep and briny honesty. America, I'm mad about your mountains, the Rockies, Appalachia, and Sierras. I confess I'm crazy for your canyons, serpentine and grand. I could fall forever into you. And I could curl among your mighty rivers, their continental carving floods and flows, the Platte and Mississippi, Ohio and Connecticut, the Colorado and Columbia. I could drink deeply of them all. I could drink your tributaries dry. I would be drunk on your watery kisses. America, I dream your glowing morning air, your dewy, many-colored soil, radiant, red and brown, black and white. I dream of touching you, your holy dirt, of lightly gliding fingertips across the tempting curves of your topography. I dream of kissing you, of kissing your United States, of coiling with your many tongues, your lips that taste of home, of freedom. America, my love, I want you naked. I want to see you by the dawn's early light, stripped of your politics, shorn of religion, a glowing God-freed nude, resplendent in your common sense, big and beautiful as history found you. I want to see your Constitution bared, to know its legal bones and muscles, stark and humble in their founding truths. I want to see you as you yearn to be. And yes, my love, I would stand naked at your side. I don't give a damn if others see you too. I don't care if all the world sees you. It will be a better world to know you naked, to see you as you are. There is enough of you to go around. Oh, I would share you gladly. America, I want you naked now. America, my love. This was put on a broadside. That means a big piece of paper. Printed in a large print, beautifully so, I might add. And on July 4th of this year, it was displayed on the lawn of this library, right adjacent to where the LGBTQ representatives were reading the Declaration of Independence, which was a stirring moment, I must tell you. But it was the strangest thing to stand and watch people read one's poem. I can't tell you how uncanny it was. All right. Another one of my issues is with God. Yes, we have a lover's quarrel, you might say. And I've written a few poems on this subject. As you'll see, they're not the usual kind. As America, My Love is not the usual patriotic poem you would want to hear read at 4th of July picnic, right? This poem is titled The Dock on the Road to Damascus. You need to bear in mind that there is no body of water by Damascus, so that the dock is sort of a figurative notion. You might also remember that Damascus is where Saul of Tarsus became Paul the Apostle with his stirring transformation. The dock on the road to Damascus. First, this. On a fine September morning, I walked out onto the dock. I should tell you, we live on a little lane over in Mystic on Mason's Island, tiny little lane. And at the end of our lane, there is a wonderful dock. And we conduct our entire summer on this dock out there. It's with that dock I had in mind when I wrote this poem. All of the poems that are about God take place on this dock. It's true. You'd be surprised what you find at the end of a dock. First, this. On a fine September morning, I walked out onto the dock and there encountered God. He was sitting at dock's end, fishing pole in hand, line in the water. And so help me, he was smoking a cigar. We were alone, just like in the scriptures. You may ask me what he looked like. You may wonder how I knew that it was God. Trust me on this, it was God. Any luck? I asked him. Nope, not yet, he said. But it's always lucky to be fishing. His voice was friendly feeling, warm and manly, but straight, no bullshit. Why don't you just command the fish to take your line? I asked, intending mischief. There'd be no sport, he smiled. What would be the fun in that? That fun should interest God intrigued me. I sat down on the dock across from him, my back against a piling, sun in my face, the heavy dock planks warm to the touch. In silence, we gazed out to sea. Its shifting scalloped surface glimmered an infinity of changing light. Did you really make all this? I asked. He shrugged with a becoming modesty, which somehow seemed less than divine. I think it's only fair to tell you that I don't believe in you, I said. I wish I could, but just can't get there. It was a mean thing to have sprung on him, but it was true, a truth I thought I'd earned. After a time, he said, that's all right. I don't much believe in you either. Though he spoke this perhaps gently, with neither spite nor irony, it stung me speechless. I rose up, fighting back the tears. What had I wanted him to say? Then he flicked the stub of his cigar into the water. What did he mean by this? And it occurred to me that I hadn't welcomed him. He was a stranger to the dock, on whom I had imposed my rudeness. He was only fishing, after all, and it occurred to me that I wanted to be loved, had wanted him to say, I love you. So, mustering what little grace I could, I took my leave, saying, I hope your luck improves. But as I walked away, my troubled heart away, I shook my head in realizing that God surely has no need for luck. All right. I am going to read you another of the America I Love poems. This is a little tougher. It's called Of Heroes. America, my love, I felt you stirring last night. I felt you stirring late last night. Heard your leaden groans, your restless pacing in the dark. Bad dreams again? The never-healing, suppurating slavery sore? Nightmare without end? Sleepless hours mounting like the links of chains? Guilt metastasizing silently within your soul? Alas, my love. Did you dream again of heroes, of your founding paragons, of Washington, great freedom warrior, freedom father, of Washington astride a beautiful black horse, of Washington with whip in hand? Sin of origin, sin of founding, sin of law, race supremacy imagined, then enacted by the lash. Heroes tainted by the lash, always the lash. Did you dream of Jefferson, of freedom's Poet Laureate, who declared the poem of our liberty, that all men are created equal, who dreamed in turn dominion dreams of ownership, of owning Sally Hemings, owning her soft and flower-like lips, owning her strong white teeth, whose smile he brought with him to Paris on the nation's business, where slavery was against the law, where nonetheless he claimed prerogative of ownership, to lie above her, fathering the first of their slave children? Did you dream of Hamilton and Madison, philosophers of founding, heroes of the Constitutional Symposium, soiled with the excrement of their best thinking, yearning to be clean, yearning to again breathe in the fresh aroma of ideals not yet polluted by the 3/5 census curse? O sweet America, my fevered dreamer, will you evermore rest easy in the night? Wake up, my love. Wake to the light of your own making. Make of your first sin an affirmation. Gather us, your loved ones, in the public square, our kids and elders, men and women side by side, the strong and feeble, poor and rich alike. Gather all of us, our many colors, tongues, and faiths. Stand before us and tell us the truth of the original transgression, ownership, of human beings bought and paid for, of profit made upon the bent and lash-scarred backs of kidnapped Africans, of ordinary evil in an evil time, compounded by 1,000 ownership transactions codified by law, in a new land dedicated to the rule of law, perverted law of racial hatred, of bondage, of the lawful lash. Oh, tell the simple truth and tell it straight. You'll see, we'll listen thoughtfully. Then gaze at those of us descended from the slaves and speak a slow, frank, from the heart apology. Take on the guilt of flawed men, heroes stained with evil. Apologize without equivocation or excuse. Yes, the words will humble you, great nation as you are, even while exalting us, great people as we are. Then after, let us go to bed and rest together in each other's arms. Well, now you get a little honey with your dessert. This next poem recounts a personal story, true story. What are we doing here? All right. This takes place in New York City, where our children were born. It's shortly after the birth of our daughter. I can't think that there's anything else I need to give you as the setup for this poem, which is called The Baby's Nap. It's a long poem, so settle in. At last the baby is asleep, sweet-scented daughter flower, the very breath of infant peace. And so to keep to schedule, I strip down to shower, flip on the faucet, and while waiting for hot water's step to creep the 5 flights up, I peep into the baby's room, where through the May bright blue sky window comes the pealing cry of kids at play down in the blooming schoolyard, just behind our building. But thank God, the baby's still asleep, when suddenly, with a sensation verging on dismay, I recollect your rushed command. Don't forget to put the goddamn garbage for the super to pick up. Your parting poke of imprecation. So from the kitchen, grabbing goddamn garbage bag and bundled newsprint, I rush out the door, observe the neighbor's bag, meaning that I'm not late yet, when behind me, like the sound of fate, I hear the swinging door click softly shut. The sounds of some life moments feel like death, that improbably eternal last held breath. Oh, that dreadful click. That click of fate, that fucking fraught and final click. And silence. Silence in the 5th floor hallway where I stand naked. All too tragically holding the goddamn garbage bag, which I at last remember to set down. I try the door, of course. Fireproof, kick-proof, heavy steel, the very feel of finality. It's locked, of course. No use trying to force it. All right then. If this is my fate, let me calmly contemplate my options. To knock naked on a neighbor's door. To endeavor to explain to them an ironic world sense of humor. To implore them to do what? Like most New Yorkers, I ignore my neighbors or bear their gripes about the weather with a cordial smile. But in a courtroom trial, could not swear to name their names. And after all, what would I ask of them? To call the cops? The super? The locksmith? All would take a New York while to come. And how would I convince them I'm not crazy? For time is passing after all, hazy time. And after all, my baby is asleep, may awaken. I may be after all forsaken among fathers. But above all, I am naked. I know that all too soon I'll die. What can the meantime mean, and why? Think, man, think. Suppose I were to slink in through the window of the baby's room. An idea, a kind of possibility. But I am naked. Suppose I were to cross our building's roof, descend the ancient fire escape, and clamber through the nursery window. But I am truly naked. Then I recall one day last fall encountering empty paint cans and perhaps some cleaning rags withal, no doubt left there by the super, just inside the bulkhead door that opens to the rooftop. But the rags, were they really there? Oh, the rags, could they be there yet? They are my last best hope. If die young I must or may, please don't let it be today. So up the stairs I skulk in silence, barefooted on the smooth, cool marble steps, up to the 6th floor's timeless quiet. Then the final flight of gritty concrete steps, stopping on the bulkhead's landing, where to my elated gratitude rest rusting paint cans and the blessed rags, my small grim heap of ragged hope. To the touch, the rags are coarse and stiff and smell appallingly of turpentine. Worse yet, they're way too small to tie around my waist. But desperate in my haste, and being neither chaste nor modest, I reckon if my hand is widely splayed, it can just hold the largest of the rags across my hapless genitals, rendering me a one-armed, not quite naked ape. So with that arm, I push the door, emerging into brilliant light of a perfect midday morning. The traffic murmurings are distant and polite. The rooftop spectacle is oddly gladdening, like the greeting of a long-missed friend. Oh, would I rather die on a day like this, or fall into a cataclysmic storm's abyss? I wonder if the neighbors down the street, whose windows loom above, are at this moment like an indiscreet if distant television audience observing my appreciation of the day. And I wonder in the moment if the window to the baby's room is closed and latched. Damn. And if it is, what the hell I'll use to break it? A father's fist will have to do. But won't the clamor wake the baby? And how will I explain this new stupidity? Nonetheless, I cross the flat, foreign, vaguely lunar oddness of the black bitumen roof, mount the gunwale to the iron ladder leading to the fire escape below, and calculate it will require acrobatics to descend with 2 bare feet and 1 free hand. With no recourse, my tender city feet start down the pitiless iron rungs to the 6th floor landing of the fire escape, where I find myself gaping into schoolroom windows, beyond which rows of kids are seated at their desks, mercifully concentrating on what must be the teacher's supernatural pedagogy, deciding that if I don't look at them, perhaps they will not look at me. I grasp the rail, start down the iron steps, down to the fateful 5th floor landing, where I see the window to the nursery is open just a finger, or maybe 2, enough to try the sash. A one-armed try, albeit, but it does not yield. Metal on metal friction. Stymied, I glance back at the kids, staring at me now. Should I raise my index finger to my lips, beckoning their silence? Shoot them a wink of our cahoots? But smiling to myself, I simply loose the rag, becoming bare-assed to the world. Then with Fanny facing kids, my 2 hands yank the sash, which quietly gives way. As deftly I step through down to the floor within a pleasant silence. And for reasons I will never understand, decline to steal the kids a final glance, but shut the window and turn to see the baby still asleep. Down the hall, the shower softly sizzles still. I feel myself enveloped by what seems to me the sweetness of life, but also its abiding strangeness. I could laugh, could weep, but in the moment I know that I will never tell this story. Who would believe it? Oh yes, I have decided for the moment not to die. Not until I have a better reason why. The baby's now. Thank you. All right. I'm going to close with another poem. Is it fair to say you love one of your own poems? This is a poem about my first memory. And you'll be a bit confounded by not only the memory, but how early it was. It's a memory that is cinematic in nature. That is to say, it plays as like a brief movie in its entirety in my mind and in my mind's eye. This poem is written in terzerima. You'll all remember that terzerima was the rhyming form that Dante invented for his Commedia. Wonderful form. Don't try it with English, however. This poem is called The Bath. All at once, as in a waking dream, like a pan-sensual movie in my mind, I feel the warm water, the mild steam. I see the sink I sat in, the day that shined into the kitchen window above the sink. I hear a voice close from behind, my mother's softly singing, tender link to the hand pressed firmly to my chest, holding me upright. My skin is pink. A warm, wet cloth has just progressed across my back. I breathe a faint, sweet scent. I'm naked, a baby. Then it ends. The rest is gone. The wet, the light, the song, all spent. My mother gone. Her voice, her touch, the feel of comfort, of goodness. Oh, what has it meant? Was it memory or dream? It feels real. What's left is luminous calm, deep peace, and yearning for more, enough to heal, enough to make a meaning, to release in you and all the world this calm, this peace. Thank you. Why not?
Yeah. So we're gonna do just a couple of questions and answers, and then afterwards, I'm gonna ask Christie to meet anyone that wants their book signed in the bath or in the lobby, and you can chat with him there.
Great,
Good?
great. Yes, we have books to sell and sign if you'd like. I'd be happy to entertain questions. Yes, Doug.
Christie, can you share with us all the different places you're scheduled to speak and some of the places you've already spoken?
I can, some of them. My mission as the Poet Laureate, the inaugural Poet Laureate of our fair town, is to take poetry and poets, to bring poetry and poets to places and people for whom poetry and poets are not readily or often accessible. So, among the places where I and colleagues of mine have presented poetry is at the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center's Thursday free luncheon, free community luncheon. Imagine how many books of poetry they read. Yeah. Margaret Gibson, our emeritus state poet laureate, and I did for them a morning of poetry of laughter. It's great fun. Then we did a program at the Denison Pequot-Sipos Nature Center. Poems about nature in celebration of, or, in concern for nature. Where else? at the Hygienic in New London, I read for them as part of a program of peace, America, My Love.
Stonebridge.
Yeah, Stonebridge, that's right. Thank you. You may have neighbors or friends who live in Stonebridge now. And I inflicted upon them their first ever poetry reading. That was great fun. And there are many more such places upcoming. My feeble mind can't summon them all up at the moment. Yes, Sibi?
Christie, what has this new position done to your own poetry writing? Have you been had time to write?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's gotten in the way, actually. This is commonly the case that you know, you get you win some little distinction, and there are new demands made upon your time and attention, and so I write fewer poems, but oddly enough, you know, this sort of recognition encourages you, makes you bolder. You do stuff that you mightn't otherwise. You just feel, why not? I'm the Poet Laureate. Yes?
Why poetry?
Repeat the question.
Yeah. The question is, why poetry? Actually, a fine poet and essayist named Dana Gioia wrote a cover piece for the Atlantic Monthly some years ago, whose title was Why Poetry? Firstly, it is, I think, abundantly clear to all of us that there are times when, as a community or privately, we need poetry. When somebody dies, we don't turn on the television. We don't go to the movies. We don't go to the theater, all places I like to go. But we turn to poetry. Or scripture, which is essentially sacred poetry. When we celebrate, when we have weddings and such things, poetry is always a part of what is being said, to fasten those vows. So it firstly is self-evident to me that as a species, we are attracted to and need poetry.
I agree with all that. Why poetry for you?
Okay. When I was 14, my big brother, Bob, 8 years older than I was at the time, he was a jazz musician, brilliant guy. He was also, as the poem said, he was a dangerous force. And he had moved out of our house as soon as he could, when he was 18 and went to college and did all those good things. But he arrived on his his Triumph motorcycle one day, and which was always an important occasion in my life when we would reconnect in those ways. And he came in to what had been our room, was then my room, and he said, "I have something for you." And it was an album of Bob Dylan's, Bringing It All Back Home. Remember that one? Yeah, some of you would. Anyhow, we played it on my little record player. Remember record players? And he said, "Christo," that's what he called me, Christo. He said, "Christo, you could write poems like that." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, so maybe 2 months later, I was in English class, and an assignment was given us to to write a one-page essay about a word that mattered to us. Imagine, 14, 15 years old with that kind of assignment. I chose the word dignity. Truth is, I had no idea what dignity meant and wouldn't really know it at the time if you pointed it out to me. But I was curious to wrestle with it and found myself writing in a way that had never occurred to me to do, and submitted it, and thought, well, it's the last I'll hear of that when I get my usual bad grade. And the teacher stood up the next morning and said, I want to read to you something. And she read the damn dignity piece. And it about floored me. So those two episodes planted a seed. And I wrote poems throughout my youth and my college and my young man's years, really, really bad poems. Take my word for it. And it took me years before I wrote a poem that I believed in. Martin.
What has been the transition from poetry into music? And many of the subjects, of course, of love and anger and what have you. But if one went through your love book, there'd be a number of areas where one could then translate. Have you written any song?
Have I written any songs? Yeah, I wrote a whole mess of songs when I was a rock and roller. As a kid, I was the singer in the band, so I felt entitled to write some songs. My bad poetry was only exceeded by the worse songs that I wrote. So I can't remember any of them and would not pretend to impose such a thing on the world. Yeah.
What was the name of your band?
The Flies. Any more questions? Yes.
I'm anxious to know, did the story of you climbing down the fire escape naked really happen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just as I described it too. Yeah, I don't make any stuff up. I'm not good enough to do that. Any other questions? May I just say thank you for being here. I'm touched by your presence. It does me good. It matters to me for reasons I can hardly tell you, but it's so good to see you here. Thank you.